What is up, YouTube, and welcome to this Fear Street 1978 breakdown and ending explained. If you enjoyed the video, then please do consider dropping a like down below and subscribing with notifications on. So far in Fear Street 1994, the curse of Sarah Fear ravaged Shadyside, and this has been the cause of the poverty and crime-stricken part of town, while their neighbours prosper for years. Dina and co learned there was one woman who survived this curse that they know of, and that was the Camp Night Massacre, and the person was C. Burnham. Now, she was desperate, Dina was, to save her girlfriend, so, well, she heads to her. Now, it was her who sent the note to Sheriff Good saying it's happening again, as we learn exactly what their relationship was. Throughout the movie, we are led to believe that she was indeed Cindy, but it becomes more complicated than that. Berman explains how her sister died that night at Camp Nightwing, and well, she was Ziggy, and she was the troubled teen severely bullied by rivals from the other town. Her sister Cindy tried to make a good life and get out of town, but it didn't work. The clues were there that she was Ziggy, clearly a huge fan of, well, David Bowie, and the name and reference to Ziggy Stardust. Her dog is called Major Tom, you know, that Major song there, and we even had a cover of The Man Who Sold the World, a David Bowie song which was covered by Nirvana on MTV Live. It would turn out that Ziggy was actually the survivor and C. Berman. Now, the sisters had a deep anger and resent for each other as Cindy tried to get away. She snitched on her former friend Alice trying to get out of town, and Cindy is the preppy sort of golden girl, while Ziggy is almost kicked out of the camp. Now, being tortured, well, that is absolutely awful, and we see that, and it just shows how real looked down upon this side of town is. She goes to see Nurse Lane, who was actually the mother of the singing killer, and spent her life trying to end this curse, but it is slowly taking over Tommy, Cindy's boyfriend, and also her. Now, Lane gets taken over herself, attacking Cindy and Tommy, also would get the curse. Nurse Lane said how they're going to die tonight, but before this, and it shook Cindy as Ziggy is comforted by Nick and the pair are from other sides of town, but he would ultimately not believe her about the curse and go on and live his destiny, which was being the sheriff. Now, Cindy and Tommy investigate, and we find the witch's mark book and map along with Alice and her boyfriend. We learn how Shadyside and the other part of town used to be called Union, which was located where Camp Nightwing is, and it looks like this split in the kind of fortunes of both towns did occur after Fear's death. Cindy and the others head to Fear's base, and they actually decide they need to unite the body of Fear and her hand, as this is how the curse will end, but of course it never goes that smoothly. There they find the witch's mark, which is the same as the one we saw briefly in the visions in the movie, or at least the first movie, sorry. They see the names of the killers on the kind of stone things, which we saw at the end of the last movie, and Tommy goes fully psycho and kills Alice's boyfriend as they try to escape, with the mark being a map to different locations, and they need to find Satan's stone and Fear's hand. Meanwhile, it's fully gone mad at the camp as the Colour War, a battle between both sides of town, really gets out of hand, and people are murdered. I felt like a lot of this was kind of superfluous to the story, really, and, well, it just really did drag on. There was no need for this movie really to be 2 hours. Now, a key location is the mess hall, which is where they head to, but this is where most of the murders have taken place and is a key point in Fear's history, and Ziggy reunites with her sister after pranking her bully and connected with Nick. Now, Ziggy has had visions of the witch, and she bled on the bones, similar to Sam there, but Alice is brutally murdered by Tommy, and we see his mask as he merges into a Jason Voorhees style killer, or Mrs. Voorhees, depending on which Friday the 13th they are basing this on. Now they head to the hanging tree, which this is where they believe that Fear is buried, or where this is going to be where they can unite the two parts of Fear. Now, of course, we did learn that, well, Fear made a deal with the devil, so to speak, and cut off her hand before she was actually killed, and, well, she went on to live this afterlife, cursing the ancestors of the people who did actually ruin her life. Now, this didn't work, and Cindy is killed as we learn Ziggy's true name. Now, Nick would betray her by simply saying that it was Tommy going mad and just another shady side loon. That's possibly why in 1994 Nick wanted to find out the truth, or was invested in the case a bit more as time went on, as possibly he did see the note, and which he did in the movie, and he would find out that it was all happening again. Now, Ziggy will then grow up as a recluse, presumably being marked for death by the witch, just like Sam. However, the mall is currently where the hand is buried, and the hanging tree is there. I found it weird they built the entire mall around this one tree. It seemed a bit odd to me. But, of course, Camp Nightwing was cursed, and that's probably why the kid in the first movie also turned bad there as well. It seemed to be like a kind of prime part of turning people evil. Now, Dina has to end the curse, but we get a huge twist. She is transported back to 1666, and it looks like she's in the body of Sarah Fear, as everyone in the village in this time frame are people we've met in this movie and the last movie, which is absolutely bizarre. It's a really weird one there, and we'll probably see the origin of evil. We will learn what happened here, and I'm expecting a bigger twist than simply she was a witch who was kind of living her life and persecuted. I think it's going to be a bit more to that than meets the eye. I really enjoyed this movie, but overall it suffered from the pacing problems as the first one, with the third quarter seemingly going on forever with just murders upon murders. I get it, it's a horror movie, but it's kind of a bit gratuitous at times and really does become a bit long in the tooth. But it does show that anyone can die in this franchise, which is a pretty interesting concept. And I wonder what will happen next as we change in eras. And the change in eras across the franchise is very, very cool. But I think that the ideas and themes haven't been used to its potential. It's a very unique franchise here. It's a nice one, but I do need to see a bit more from it, and I need to see better pacing for me to really make this a classic. I feel that the resolution to the story at the end is very, very rushed, simply just heading to the mall and then the grave. And we spent far too long on characters boning and getting down to it in the past, which would die, and then they have no impact really on anything here in the present time, or let's say 1994, which was a bit boring. Overall, yeah, I enjoyed it, but it did have problems in my opinion. But that is it for this video. Please do drop a like down below. Please do subscribe with notifications on, and I'll see you soon, and goodbye.